Welcome to part four of 5 of this twisty world that Ashlie Molstad has created in the unlicensed therapy realm. Ashlie Molstad has run a course in the month of October with close to or over 700 people who've joined. She's made between 65 plus and maybe 75 plus $1,000 this month, in my opinion, really harming people with really bad advice. She's a self-proclaimed life coach. She took Brooke Castillo's life coaching course, eye roll of a lifetime. I hope you stick around because there will be Baby Snark will be joining us, and maybe Polite Demon Lawyer. We may be bringing both of them in, and of course we're going to be making some announcements, so buckle up, put your seats in the upright and I don't know, is it lock position? I'm not a pilot, what do I know? I'm going to play the disclaimer and we'll begin right now. If you're new here and you don't get scared off by this video, I'd love for you to come back next time. You can subscribe, turn on notifications, do all the good things, the YouTubey things. Also, small shop promotion. I paid for this with my own money, but the design is from Kate from Happyish brand. Let me get my Chewbacca hair out of the way. It's called the Boo Book. Is it not so cute? It's on, I printed it from Rush Order Tees. What is it called? Rush Order Tees, because they have the one-off option where you can just print one shirt. Best decision of my life. If you want to go support Kate, I'll link her stuff in the description, and maybe she'll be interested next year in doing some shirts or something like that. Let's get into this video. If you don't know who Ashlie Molstad is, she is still a Beachbody coach, even though in the videos in this series that's going on, she has said, "Oh, my former company. What are you talking about? You're in Beachbody. You're an affiliate link for TrimFit. You're doing master resale rights, I'm pretty sure. And you're also doing this life coaching business on the side, pretending that you have no association or affiliation with these weight loss programs and products and how you're speaking out against them, but you are shilling for them." Twisty? I think yes. Her video is an hour and 33 minutes, so we're scared. Should we go to 1.5 speed? Let's see.
Hi, everyone. I love this. This is our final haul together. Is this crazy town? How did that happen? I feel like October just flew by and it just doesn't make sense. And yet here we are. I'm so curious. I've been hearing from some of you, you're responding to the emails or in my DMs telling me how this has impacted you. And I'm so grateful for that. Thank you for showing up in the UK at 1 a.m. I have to thank you for that, but I'm so curious to hear how your time was. I know, as is always the case.
I'll tell you, it was awful. The time when you threatened to bring a GUN to someone who struggles with an eating disorder, binge eating, and then you said, "You don't have a binge eating disorder. You can stop at any time." If I brought a GUN to your house and said, "Stop eating or else," you'd stop, wouldn't you? Don't believe me? Go watch the video.
When we start something new, our brain gets very excited. And then, life happens, whatever. On our first call, we have like 500 people on here live. There's 82 currently right now. And that happens, right? Where you get really excited and you're committed until things get a little bit tough or a little bit boring or whatever, and then you fall off. And then you also beat yourself up for falling off. So it's like,
okay, she's going to talk too fast, so I'm going to slow it down at 120.
Why would if I didn't do it perfectly, then why would I even show up to the call? And so I want to first acknowledge you for being here, whether you're here live, which is like the best, or if you were watching the replay, for committing to this until the end.
You know what's so interesting? She said, "Oh, our brains get so excited when we first start, and then they get less excited." Could it not be that your coaching is awful and that people said this is fuckery and we're not going to be a part of it, so bye? Could that not be it as well? I'm just wondering. Could it be that people aren't receiving as much live coaching as you promised? What, out of 700 people, like 10 people have been coached so far? Maybe 11. Percentage wise, 11 compared to 700 plus? No thanks.
Acknowledge yourself for that. This is hard work, right? It is taking responsibility for your life, and it is way easier to say the problems are out there. You guys need to change. The world needs to change so that I can feel better. But I hope that you have found that this has been empowering you to take your power back and live a life on purpose that feels good. So this week is all about your environment. I'm seeing a bunch of people that are saying,
are you going to tell us to keep our house clean so that we can feel better about ourselves? As I'm looking at my desk right now, maybe I would feel better if I didn't have a million projects and, you know, my packaging from my Boo Book tea from Kate from Happy Brand wasn't on the desk too, or my Lego head. No, I'm pretty happy with it.
you're sad that it's our last call, so I have some exciting news for you.
No.
But this last week is all about our environment, right? And so you've gotten your 3 emails so far today. We've talked about your social media and cleaning up your social feeds, making sure that what you're consuming as you scroll makes you feel good.
Oh, information control? Tell me more, Ashlie Molstad.
If you have someone in your life that every time you see them, you just get this like judgy vibe, mute them or unfollow or whatever it is, right?
Is there no internal work that we're going to do to say, hey, I still want to have this person in my life? Oh, no, we're just muting them? Great advice, non-licensed counselor, Ashlie Molstad.
If you're following people that you don't know, but are not serving you, and you're finding you're comparing yourself to them and then beating yourself up or judging yourself, or it's making you feel like you're not doing enough in your life, probably also someone you want to meet or mute, right? Day 2, we talked about your environment and what is around you in your space, cleaning it up, making it a place that feels joyful and productive to live in. This morning,
someone paid a premium for this course to have Ashlie Molstad say you're going to feel better if your house is cleaner.
I talked to you guys about your routines, how you're starting and ending your day. Tomorrow is going to be about how you're basically taking care of yourself, showing up for yourself in a physical sense. Because you've seen on some of these calls where people have said, you know, I just wear sweats. I hide myself. I don't ever get ready. I don't do my hair and makeup. I don't get dressed. And every time we do that, now, sometimes we're not going to do our hair and makeup and we're going to live in sweats. It's not what you do. It's why you're doing it.
Is that why my channel isn't growing? Because I don't, I do my eyebrows now. I brushed my hair today. I understand if you like makeup, awesome. I love watching anti-MLM videos where someone's like doing their makeup or whatever. Like, that's way cool. Did I almost burn my eyebrows off the other day in a video when I was perming them on live? Maybe. Are they still attached to my head? Thankfully, they are.
Right? What is the reason that you're doing that? And if you're doing it because you are gross or unworthy of being seen or something's wrong with you, then every time you give into that message from your brain that's like, not even worth it, not even worth taking care of, I'm not worth showing up for, you're reinforcing that thought that feels shitty to think. So you'll get that email tomorrow. Today, I want to focus a little bit on boundaries because that's going to be your final email this week on Friday, but it's the more.
How do we even need to have boundaries if you're telling people to mute or stop talking or stop being friends with those who you judge or make you feel a certain way? Where's the good advice about having a boundary and saying, hey, we don't do that here?
Sticky subject. So I want to talk to you a little bit about boundaries. What a lot of times happens is I'll get on the phone with a client and someone will say, you know, I put this boundary in place where so I'll give you a specific example.
I'll give you a specific example from a client. Let me ask you this. I don't know because I'm not a therapist. Are therapists allowed to use examples as long as they don't tell the names? Maybe they are. That's so cute. Don't worry, no affiliate links here. I'm just trying to promote small businesses and erase some of the harm I did being in multi-level marketing.
She said, I put this boundary in place. I've been very close with my daughter forever. And she always just used to stop by whenever she wanted, but I don't want that anymore. And of course, you know, then this morning I was on my way out. I had a nail appointment. I had some things to do, but my daughter dropped by. And I'm like so annoyed because I already told her that I have this boundary and now I have to stay. I'm like there. And I didn't go to my nail appointment or I didn't get my nails done, but that was the only time I had to do it.
Do you not just say, hey, I have a nail appointment. I'll be back later?
And I'm like, just, you know, so I'm engaging with my grandson that she brought over, but I don't understand why she's not respecting my boundaries. That's not a boundary. That's a manipulation.
Also, what about the nail tech who lost out on the customer because you had a no-show?
Manipulation tactic. That is saying, I need you to change. And if you don't, I'm going to be mad, right?
Wrong. No.
It is also, I told my mom that I don't want her talking bad about my siblings to me. I guess there's a lot of family things. I told my mom I don't want her to talk bad about my siblings to me. And she called me yesterday. And of course, right away, she jumps into all the ways that my siblings are failing. And it's like, Mom, I already told you not to do this. Why are you doing this? Mom, what is wrong with you? Right? But you're not necessarily saying this out loud. Sometimes you are, or you're thinking it to yourself. Again, boundaries are to protect you. They are saying you get to act how you want. I get to decide how I'm going to respond to that. It is not.
No. You don't get to act how you want. If you're being physically or emotionally or like verbally abused, sometimes you can literally not protect yourself. And you also can walk away and physically protect yourself because it's about them who did something bad to you. And they're the ones that don't get to continue the behavior. Ashlie Molstad telling everybody and their mom that you have to think differently about the person who hurts you? No. Oh, look at their intentions? Hell no. You get to be safe. You should Be safe. Therapists, please leave your comments below. Or live chat. Greetings and salutations. I'm glad you're here. I'm sure we're raging together in the premiere.
A way to manipulate someone else to change their behavior. It is 100% about protecting you. So a boundary would look like if you have told your daughter, you know, I know that you've always been able to just like swing by unannounced, but I kind of would really appreciate if you let me know and call beforehand so that I can make sure I'm available to you, because I really want to spend time with you, but I've got other plans, you know? So if you do swing by unannounced, I can't guarantee that I'm going to be available to hang out. Then as you're leaving and she drops by, because a boundary does not mean that they are going to then behave that way.
Agree.
The way that I sort of think about boundaries is like guardrails on a highway. If you have been, I can never really figure out the best way to describe this, but like, let's say you're driving on the highway and you're always able to switch lanes. You're always able to change lanes. Now they've put a guardrail in between, but you're on autopilot and you don't, you know, recognize that or remember that the guardrail's there. So you're going to try to switch lanes. You're going to buck up against the boundary. Now, if the boundary is made of paper, you're going to go into the other lane and the person's going to be like, what the hell are you doing? There was a boundary there. You're supposed to be in that lane and now you're in this lane. So you built this boundary of paper asking them, the responsibility is on them. You need to change your behavior so that this lane stays safe.
Yes. Yes. Where is she getting this like description from? But yes.
You enact like a metal boundary and you anticipate that these people who have never had this boundary before, it is going to change what they're able to do with you, are going to hit the boundary. Anticipate that. That is their job, to continue acting as if they, and then the boundary is there to say, nope, you're going to stay in your lane, right?
And I do understand that having emotional ties that are long-term with someone, setting a boundary can be incredibly difficult.
Do this, I will do that. So when it comes to this mom, she says the boundary to the daughter swings by unannounced. And instead of her being like, well, I guess I can't get my nails done anymore, she says, oh, shoot, you know what? I was just running out to get my nails done. I'm so sorry, I can't hang with you. And the daughter is going to be upset. The daughter is going to be bummed out because that's not what the mom has ever done before. The mom has always prioritized the daughter, but she's done it with some sides of resentment now and anger, right? But that's okay. We can hold space for them to feel uncomfortable with this new boundary that we put in place. We expect that. This is
okay. I don't hate what she's saying now. It's just the build up to what she's saying now was so convoluted. Maybe it's her delivery style. Maybe it's the fact that she's not a licensed therapist. It could be both.
Imagine you've been acting one way with someone in your life forever, and all of a sudden they put a boundary up and it changes. You would probably feel a little freaked out about that. I'd be like, whoa, did I do something wrong? Are we okay? Did I offend you or whatever? It's like, no, none of that. Right? It's just, I'm asking for this for me now. I'm doing it from love and compassion so that I can prioritize our relationship and I can show up for you in a way that feels good, but also to protect myself. I don't want to engage in talking bad about my siblings. I don't want to engage in, talking about people or having you do this or whatever it is, right? Like the boundaries are for you, not for them. And one of my this does not mean that we just accept people, right? However they are. You can decide if a boundary means I'm not going to see you anymore.
Okay, fine, right? Good.
If you continue to treat me this way.
Obviously, we already talked about this because we raged early on. The delivery, it seemed like she wasn't going to say that. I understand boundaries are for you, but how are we talking about boundaries now when we were not talking about it in the very first session where she was saying, think about the people differently who you're having an issue with, because you can change yourself and how you see them so that they don't hurt you anymore. And now she's talking about boundaries. Like, shouldn't that have been in the first call?
I will no longer engage with you. That can be a boundary, but we don't want to do it from anger, resentment, judgment, frustration. We want to do it from love and compassion for ourselves.
She just said on the second call that anger was keeping this one person safe because she was a survivor of domestic violence. So that decision, or the decisions being made, or the decision or the feelings in her heart, allegedly, according to Ashlie, she's not a licensed therapist, but she was saying like, hey, that's keeping you safe right now. Maybe lean into that for now until blah, 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 blah. And now she's saying, don't make decisions from anger or bitterment or resentment or all this stuff. Which one is it?
And for them, I understand this is hard for you to not engage in this bad-mouthing behavior, right? And we're not necessarily saying that to them. We're just thinking, this must be really hard because this is how they've always acted. I can appreciate that. If someone told me that I can no longer speak about something in a way that I've always felt, that would be hard for me to break. It would be hard for me to break that habit. But we hold them with love and compassion. And no, my answer, I love you. And my answer is no. Right? I have an episode on boundaries that you can go check out as well on InSource. No. But it's a really important one and you can enact boundaries.
Here's a question. She has a podcast called InSource where it's like, stop looking to other people and start looking inside yourself. And yet this is a funnel. And she's already made thousands of dollars in this course that we have to pay her, which is literally not insourcing. It's outsourcing. It's outsourcing to an unlicensed therapist. So which one is it? Are we insourcing or are we outsourcing? I'm confused.
In face-to-face relationships, you can enact boundaries on social media, right? One of the boundaries I have is like, My social media is also an extension of my home. If you would come into my home and speak to me that way, I'll block you. And I used to get like, my blood would be boiling. I used to get all stressed out about it. Now I just block you. I'm like, oh, you haven't found the exit, but you're not welcome in my home when you speak to me like that. So let me just help you. No judgment, no anger, no resentment.
Is this a new thing in the past like 8 months? Because that is not what she said on her social media when she got pissed at me and the Snark crew for pointing out the awful things she said in the Facebook group that she was running with Shannon Harvey. Yeah, you can change. You can change quickly, for sure. And I get it. It's finding someone anti-MLM who downloads all your videos, you get booted from the group. I get it. Now, the things that you were saying should be exposed. Absolutely. And I'm going to keep doing that. And I get that it's a process of doing content. You're going to get booted from groups when the people who are saying the fuckery find out that someone's in there to expose them.
My blood's not boiling. My blood pressure's not raising. It's just like, oh, that's not the way that I allow people to speak to me in my home. And I'm lucky in that I am not a people pleaser. I'm not someone who shies away from uncomfortable conversations. So I also, if this is hard for you, enacting a boundary is hard for you, I want you to explore why. What is it that you're afraid of? What is it you're afraid they're going to think of you? What's the worst case scenario, right? They get mad at you? Okay. Why would that be so awful? What if you make them feel bad? Okay. But they're making you feel bad right now, right? We want to prioritize our peace and health and try to show up in the world in a way that we're proud of, that feels good. And not everyone's going to love that. And that's okay. So what questions do you have about boundaries, if you have any? All right. It says, or tell me about a boundary that maybe you set recently. And of course, raise your hand if you want some live coaching. It says, I took a friend to lunch and set a boundary between her and me. I told her I loved her as a friend, but didn't want her to keep doing a few things to me that I didn't appreciate. She thought I was ending our friendship, but I told her not at all. Just setting a few boundaries. We are now better friends than ever. Amazing. So that is
Why wouldn't the question be, hey, I'd love to go to lunch with you, or maybe we do it in a safe place. Maybe it's not either of our homes. Maybe it's in private so that we can have a conversation and the person that you're going to be talking to understands or is able to anticipate what the conversation is going to be about, so that they can either say, hey, I'm not in a mentally good spot to have this conversation right now. Can we have it in a couple of weeks when a few things have calmed down? And then you can say, great, let's have that conversation in a few weeks. Or they can say, yeah, let's have it right now. What's up? And maybe the friendship does end, or maybe like this, the surprise attack worked. I say surprise attack. I'm coming from a place of like something like that happened to me, and it was hard to think like you're gonna go have a really good breakfast with a friend, and it's not what it was. And I was so shocked and so hurt by what was said. And it would have been different if that person had come in and said like, hey, I was thinking about going to breakfast. Is that a comfortable spot to have a kind of a deep conversation, or would you like to go somewhere private and have that conversation? I don't know. Maybe give a shit if y'all are friends and it's not dangerous, giving them an opportunity to know what the conversation's going to be about, and are they able to handle that conversation.
Like this, I will no longer go out to happy hour with you, right? How do you do this at work? Give me an example. She said that's harder to do out of love. What do you mean? What's going on at work, and what boundary would you put in place? Something like a very common boundary at work would be like, I don't answer emails after 5 o'clock or before 8 a.m. I have a lot of clients who are like constantly checking their phone, feeling like they need to be there, right? And then people get upset when people that I don't answer emails after 5, and here you are sending me an email at 7 o'clock at night. What do you think? No. They're going to do whatever they do. The boundary is, if you do this, I will not respond until the morning during my working hours. No problem, right? How do you set a boundary and not get hit with the bitchy personality association? I would ask yourself, why is it a problem if you were hit with the bitchy personality association? Listen, if I set a boundary for myself and you think that makes me a bitch, but I'm doing it with love and compassion, you're entitled to think that I'm a bitch. And
you're entitled to think I'm a bitch?
When someone accuses me of something or calls me something, I like to do one of two things. One, I like to see if there's any truth to that, right? I had a client this week, one-on-one, who her mother-in-law said something that was really offensive to her. And she said, you're really acting like so-and-so. And the so-and-so was someone that she didn't want to act like, right? She did not like that person. So she felt like that was really hurtful and painful. And so I had to ask her, well, when she says that you're acting like that, what does that mean to you? And she's like, it means that I'm selfish. I'm not caring about other people. I'm mean, whatever. And I said, are you any of those things? Are you selfish? No. Are you narcissistic? No. Are you not caring about other people? No. Okay. So then she's wrong. If she thinks that, which we don't know if that's what she's thinking, right? Because the way that you think about that person might not be the way that person thinks about that person. So if she says, you're really acting like so-and-so, your brain has associated that person with toxicity. That person might not. But if she does, and you are not any of those things, why are we spending time defending ourselves?
Because you're allowed to defend yourself. Maybe be curious. Why do you think that I'm acting like so-and-so. And then they can give you more insight. And then you can have a conversation coming from a perspective of where you both know where each other is coming from. Maybe that's an assumption that everyone's going to be curious, but we can be curious. Questions are not inherently offensive.
So I either try to find truth in it, right? Sure. Are you being selfish? And there have been times where I'm like, wait, when someone calls me selfish and narcissistic, I'll be like, well, am I? And the truth is, yeah, I do have. I was raised by a mom who I think is on the narcissistic spectrum. I don't think it's been clinically diagnosed. I know that's thrown out, that term is thrown out a lot right now, but I do feel like she's on the spectrum, right? So in seeing those habits, I'm very hyper aware of, I don't think I'm narcissistic, but I do have more selfish tendencies. I can acknowledge that. So when you call me selfish, you're not wrong. But if I own it, it reduces the power. You can't say that to me and be offensive. If I'm offended by you calling something that I am, then I can be like, well, if I don't want to be that anymore, I can work to change it. I don't mind being selfish. I don't mind being called bitchy. If me upholding a boundary is bitchy, no problem. So I would look, one, is there truth to what they're saying at all? And if absolutely not, I let them be wrong about me, right? A lot of people.
You said something different. You're entitled to your opinion, or you let them be wrong about you. That's different than saying you're entitled to your opinion. Maybe I've said that. And if someone's always going to be wrong about you, I get that. You can't have conversations necessarily with them, because when I say wrong, it's like, oh, DC, you're wearing a white shirt today. No, I'm not. It's like a burnt kind of orange shirt. No, it's white. No, it's not. It's literally orange. You're entitled to your opinion. Well, maybe that's a fact.
The haters like to call me narcissistic. I don't think I'm narcissistic. So
what haters have we called her narcissistic? I don't think we diagnosed on my channel. Isn't that what it says in the description?
I just let them be wrong about me. Lots of the haters also want to call me alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic. I enjoy alcohol, but I don't think that I'm an alcoholic. So it's fine if you do.
We, the Snark Crew, and I have talked about her ingestion of alcohol as it has impacted, or seemingly has impacted, the stories that she's shared. It seems to have impacted her kids. It seems to have impacted her quality of life. It seems to have impacted her relationship with her spouse. That's what it seems like from what we've seen. Not that she is that. I know the Snark Crew and I have talked about it.
I'm just going to let you be wrong about me, right? So I will look for truth in something, and then it removes the power, or it shows me something that I might want to change, or I just let them be wrong. Okay, I'm trying to see.
I do like her nail color.
How do you say? Yeah, okay, so the bitchy thing, I'm trying to see if I ever responded. My boss is always last minute, needs things constantly, interferes with my plans, my time, but I feel I have to do it because, they're the boss. So circumstances, boss asks for project due tomorrow. My thought is, what do they think? I have nothing else going on? This is so rude. They always do this, right? So boss says words. My brain then thinks a thought, and then I get frustrated and I'm resentful. But if you had a boundary in place, like, yeah, I'll absolutely add that. It looks like I can get that to you by Friday. No, we need it tomorrow. Well, this is the things that I got on my plate. Is there something else that I can take off to prioritize? Whatever, right? But like, there is a boundary. Your boss is going to boss. The boss is rushed. The boss is last minute. Sounds like maybe a little disorganized and very urgent. That's their job. They care about what they care about. They don't care about what you've got going on. They're like, I need this now. It's up to you to say, okay, I understand you need it now. Here's when I can deliver it. Or I can stop doing one of these things, and maybe that's not an option, right? And if it's not an option, then you say, this is when I can deliver it to you. If not, maybe you should ask someone else to get this to you, right? So that you're not because just because they're the boss doesn't mean you have to do what they say. And I would need more like specifics to like know what role that is. But I'm just thinking about like when I was at corporate at Nike, I think communication is one of the biggest tools that we have. All right. My partner and I set a boundary by saying, I'm not going to tolerate just making you happy. It needs to be back and forth. What does that mean? I set a boundary by saying, I'm not going to tolerate just making you happy. That's not a boundary. It needs to be back and forth. So what you're saying is, I need you to make me happy. If I'm going to make you happy, I need you to make me happy. Is that what you're saying, Maya?
No, that's not what they're saying.
That's not a boundary. That is a manipulation of behavior, and he can't make you happy. You might prioritize his happiness because that feels good to you. You feel like that's the good partner thing to do, but then you get resentful when he doesn't do that for you. You're responsible for your happiness. Part of your happiness is making him happy. You can release that, or you can just own it.
I don't understand why. Maybe I'm like not elevated enough to understand this. There is a reality of sometimes there's only one person putting in the effort in a relationship and the other person is not. It's not manipulative to say, I am doing the facts of these things. I need help. I need participation. What things are you okay taking off my list? And they could say, no, I'm not doing any of those. Can someone help me out in the live chat or the comments in the replay crew? Hello? I don't understand. I don't understand.
One of the things that I heard in a book like a decade ago, I think it was called Better Than Happy. And
are you the unlicensed therapist or are you the plagiarizer of the books?
Book. And I didn't love the book, but she
I didn't love the book. I didn't finish it, but she said this, and I'm going to teach y'all this.
Talks about Christmas decorations. And she's like, I love Christmas. I always want to decorate my house, but I always want my husband to help because like he gets to benefit from the decoration. So he should help me, right? Like it's our house together. And she's like, and it was a fight every year because he didn't care. And she's, then I just decided if I'm decorating the house because it brings me joy, I don't want to dampen the joy by being mad that he's not doing his part. He doesn't give a shit. Yes, and I feel the same way. Like John and I used to always, he would like drag his feet. He never wanted to decorate. And after reading that book, it was like, oh, yeah, I like the house decorated. I know he likes it decorated too, but he also doesn't care that much. So if it's not, he's going to be fine. So why am I making my priority his priority? He might benefit from the joy of the decorations, but that's not a priority to him. It's a priority to me. And if I like it for the joy, it's my job. It's my responsibility. And then I just let it go. It's like, I want to decorate and I don't need you to help, right? It's important to you that you help make him happy because that's something that makes you feel like a good partner, but recognize that you're actually doing that for you. It sounds beautiful. I'm prioritizing his happiness. Sounds so selfless. But when you do it in exchange of like, but I need you to do that to me, that's where resentment comes from. That's not a boundary.
I feel like I'm getting like influenced by Ashlie Molstad in a bad way. And like, I can't figure out like what's normal and what's not anymore.
All right, I'm gonna do a few more questions and then in 10 minutes, we'll start coaching. Newly sober and heading into the holidays with family members that are heavy drinkers. Thoughts on sharing my current sobriety and asking for space and not offering me drinks? Totally can, absolutely. Or just say I'm not drinking anymore. And if you need them to not offer you drinks, then I would communicate that, ask. And then know that if you get in there, what's the plan if someone does offer you a drink?
Have a soda in your hand so that nobody offers you a drink. Is that the wrong advice? Oh, thanks, I already have one. Oh, thanks, I already have one. Oh, thanks, I already have one. Bring a huge Stanley cup with a Route 44 cranberry slush with a lime in it. Delicious. Delicious.
You can get pissed at them, or you can say, I'm going to leave the part. Like, what is the boundary? Or maybe it's just an ask. Hey, I'm newly sober, guys, and I'm working on this. I would appreciate if you didn't offer me drinks.
But what if you had a drink in your hand that looked like a rum and Coke, but it was just a Coke? Or what if you had your Stanley and said, thanks so much, I brought my own? Or say like, yeah, I brought my own, I'm good, thanks. Is that weird? Is that like an avoidance of conflict?
They're gonna have thoughts about it. Hold space for that.
And I would also like to say, shout out to the sober community that watches my channel. You're the MVP. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you dealt with these type of situations, because it may help somebody else who's thinking about sobriety or who is working on their sobriety.
Uncomfortable with your sobriety? Maybe not, right? But maybe they're uncomfortable with your sobriety. Okay. You probably were uncomfortable with it too initially, and maybe still are. And that's why this is happening. So you don't actually need them to support you. You need to have your own back. And then what?
You're uncomfortable and that's why this is happening.
You don't actually need them to support you. You need to have your own back. And then what's going to happen if they offer you drinks? Just anticipate that someone is probably going to do that. You're going to run up against your boundary. What does that mean? Then you're going to take a break. You're going to remove yourself. You're going to leave the party. Like, what does that look like for you? All right. He says, I struggle with people pleaser tendencies. Setting boundaries does get easier the more you practice it, though. I also feel guilty if I prioritize myself over someone else, but I've learned that the guilt feels less bad than if I were to say yes when I mean no. So true. And then you also, and they might not like it. If they're used to you saying yes every time, and now you started saying no, and they get annoyed, they're like, what the heck's going on? And then they get annoyed. Totally makes sense, because you've always been the person that does everything for them. You sacrifice yourself for them. It makes sense that they feel uncomfortable with that, right? But then I love how you said, right? We say yes because we want to avoid feeling guilt, which is a negative emotion. And we have resentment and frustration and anger. Those are also all negative emotions. So let me choose which negative emotion I want. And generally, I would recommend you prioritize the one that makes you feel good. Like, right? So saying no when you mean no instead of yes when you mean no. You're going to tolerate an uncomfortable emotion either way. One maybe is guilt, but I like that better than the anger and resentment and judgment of this person that I care about, right? Mm-hmm. I love the way you said that. Okay, what did I say? Because a lot of you guys are saying, the one that talked about sobriety. Yes, good job. Okay. My boundary with my partner is Monday and Wednesday are my nights to work out, and his are Tuesday, Thursday. There are clear boundaries and respect for each other's free time. We have found that super helpful for our relationship with the kids. Cool. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's a boundary as much as a value.
That's a boundary. Or like respect a communication standard between partners. Maybe a licensed therapist, or maybe a former licensed therapist can tell us.
Or like a routine that you guys have worked out. Because a boundary is, if you do this, then I do that. So like, it would be like, if my workout night is Monday and Wednesday, and he's like, no, I'm working out on Monday, then what do you do? Right? A boundary is, if you do this, I do that. That sounds maybe just like, that's kind of a routine that you guys have worked out. Not really a boundary, just something you guys do. I have a 9-year-old step granddaughter who I think is already showing narcissistic spectrum. Why does it drive me nuts? How do I let her manipulate everyone but me?
Get a therapist, get a therapist, get a therapist. You go to therapy, like get a therapist.
Wait, how do I let her? I'd be so curious to coach you on that.
Paging Ashlie Molstad to aisle 12. Paging Ashlie Molstad to aisle 12. This page is to remind you that you are a life coach. which is not really any standard of therapeutic care, okay? You are a life coach. Stop meddling in people's minds. Thank you.
Because I see a lot of judgment there. That she brings her own mocktail. That's great. I love that idea. Okay. Number one worst boundary setter here. I think something that I struggle with in boundary setting is navigating, let them be wrong about me. And wait a second, are they right about me? Yeah. So you got to that's why you'll see, right? You've seen over this month together that basically all of everything in our life comes back to our relationship with ourselves. And we were raised by if you're my age, right? Maybe because I know we have some people over 50 here. So you were the generation that was kind of raising us, right? Was very much caring about other people's perception. We relied extremely heavily on external validation. You guys were always doing our parents were always doing the best that they could. But it was, if you think about, our parents or grandparents, or maybe if that's your generation, you only cared about what the world thought of you. So it makes sense that we looked to the outside to tell us that we were good enough. What we're doing now is going inside. And
you literally are a coach that charges money, which would by definition be outsourcing help for your internal perspective, which people paid for. And you're literally in the position of being the outsourced person. Make this make sense.
Deciding that we are, and we're having our own back on things, and then letting people think whatever. The reason we don't like people thinking poorly of us, one, is because we have a human brain, and that is just part of the primal need.
We debunked this earlier in stream 2. Wasn't a psychologist the one who came up with that? Wasn't he debunked?
There is a need to belong, right? Because if you don't belong, it is a trigger for your brain that it's life and death. If you way back when didn't belong and you got ousted from a tribe, right? You wouldn't be standing outside a tribe like, I want to be different. I'm doing my own.
Ashlie, Molstad, why don't you not tell us what people in tribes would do? Maybe that's overstepping your bounds.
No, there is a part of needing to belong to the collective, which is recognize that that's part of your human brain. It doesn't necessarily, it's not life and death anymore, right? Okay. I also want to, so I've got a few people that have raised their hand. I also want to let you guys know, so you've probably heard that, or maybe you haven't, I don't know, but I'm planning on launching a membership in the new year.
A membership for what? What are you offering?
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. No, Will Robinson. Danger.
And the thing that I have loved so much about our time together is the actual live calls. And
is the money you got in 1 month. You're going to start up a membership so that you can move on to the $1 million life coaching thing and then to the $10 million life coaching that you were wanting to do. Is that what this represents for you?
Live coaching and, communicating. I love these weekly calls. I would be so curious to hear what your feedback is on the emails. I hope that they were helpful and gave you direction throughout the week. But I want to offer to you guys to be my beta testers for this membership. So we would continue our weekly calls together, weekly coaching. I might even add a second call a week. And then I've created a community space where we can all engage with each other. It's off of Facebook. It's through the same place where this site is hosted. So I've created a community place there where we can engage with each other. I've also, a lot of you guys have been emailing me one-off questions, and I haven't been able to get back to all of you, but I've thought if those were posted in a group forum and I could engage back with you, then everybody could, what is that? My brain is just not working. Benefit. Everyone could benefit from that response, right? Because you guys have seen how powerful the group coaching is, or the live coaching, where even if you're not getting coached, you can see your brain in that person. So, it's going to be in the new year is it's going to be a $99 initiation fee plus $47 a month. So your initial payment would be $146 or something like that. What I'm doing for you guys, I'll pop the link in the chat here. And if you use the code INSOURCE, it will, let me put it in the chat. I wonder if I can pin. So if you go here and you use the code INSOURCE, it will waive the initiation fee. So you won't pay the $99, it'll just be the $47. And then we'll continue to have our calls every single week. And then we'll also have that community and connection. Oh, thank you. Code is intentional. What did I say?
What? You don't even know your code?
She put in there. The code is intentional. So I wish I could pin. I don't know why I can't pin that comment, but the link is in the chat. So it's like, and it's going to be emailed to you also in the reporting for this and in the next couple of days. So it starts now. So because I want to work with you guys now, and you're going to kind of help me create this membership site. And I'm also going to upload all of this content from this course into there eventually, and you'll be able to like go back. And yes, you can cancel anytime, not a 6-month commitment. It's like month to month. That's it. So it's going to be $47 for November. We're going to do a call pretty much every week. I'm going to take Thanksgiving week off and Christmas week off. So it'll be like 3 to 4 calls a month. There's 5 weeks actually in November. So there'll be 4 calls in November, 3 in December. Did I say 5 calls? There's 4 calls because we're taking Thanksgiving week off, but I might add more because I actually love this group coaching, and the calls will still be recorded and they're up there. Did you send the link to everyone? Oh, hosts and panelists, you're right. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Thank you. Here it is. Here it is. I just put it for everyone. So I'll just, put it in there. It's in the chat. But
Didn't we call this as a big funnel? Or maybe that was Brad Bizjack, but this is a funnel too. It is a funnel for sure.
it'll be in your email as well. So you can sign up for that now. Remember to use the code intentional, and that's also going to be in your email. And that'll take the $99 initiation fee off. So it's just $47. And then that way we won't miss a week and we get to continue doing this together. I'm not going to be sending the daily emails anymore, but I am going to be like putting more things, we're going to be building out that membership site. So, but I've been hearing from you guys and seeing here how many of you wanted to continue and we're sad that we're leaving. So we can. So let's do this. All right. It's 5:30 exactly on the dot. Let's do some coaching. Yes, $47 a month. Where are my participants? Here we go. So I'm going to promote you to panelist. I need you to turn your camera and your microphone on. Let's do it. I am so excited. No, the community is not through Facebook. Nothing is on Facebook. Oh, I can't hear you. Just unmute, or I asked you to unmute. Does that help? There we go. Got you.
Okay, great. Hi.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm excited.
I can't believe I got started. Okay.
You can't believe what?
I can't believe I got picked.
Yeah, you were the first. I saw you raise your hand like right when the call started. We're at the top of the list. What are we coaching on?
Oh my God, I feel like I'm a mess. So I just feel very stuck in my life. I work in healthcare, and I have notes that I'm looking at. I work in healthcare, and I started doing body coaching about 9 years ago. It just has never evolved. I've just always felt like I'm meant for more. I have dabbled in trying to make, I do chocolates, so I am a chocolatier. And I've dabbled in trying to start my own business with that. I have recently started taking a course to get a certificate to help women in perimenopause and menopause. To try and branch off to something like that. I just have always felt like I'm made for more, and I literally turned 50 in July, and I just feel like I feel like I sabotage myself. Like I feel like I just continue to jump in and work really hard, and then life happens or something happens, and then I'm just like, oh well, I guess that was a nice thought.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I need for more. What do you picture? What is more?
Well, I would like to make more money.
Okay.
What I do in healthcare is I'm a registered sleep technologist in EEG tech. And so I've been doing it for like 27 years. So I'm kind of stuck where I'm at. I was at one point a manager. So it's not like I can evolve in my field really. But honestly, I've just always felt like I would be more, like I would be more successful, have more money, not live paycheck to paycheck.
That's why you're not successful then, because money must not be, it's not compelling enough for you to stick with things, right? Like I feel like there has to be some more compelling reason. And money can be very compelling for some people, but it's clearly not compelling enough for you, because what your brain is saying is like, oh, I'm excited, right? You're trying all these things. So you tried being a body coach. You said I coached for 9 years. It's never evolved. My guess is you haven't like actually fully gone hard. Like if you have shown up every single day and invited every day and really worked on yourself, like there's no way that you wouldn't develop some level of success in 9 years. To me, that's a mental block, right? And also it's like, I'm excited. So then I dabbled in chocolate because maybe that's the thing that's going to make me the money. But then you get out there and you're like, oh, well, shit, this is like a lot of work for not that much money. And okay, maybe it's not that thing. So then I'm going to go take a certification. I'm going to help women in menopause and perimenopause. And maybe that'll be the thing. But the thing is, everything that, like, you're not going to stumble into the gold mine, right? It's like a grind. I didn't start making legitimate money with body until 5 years in. It took me 5 years of showing up every single day. And when I started, there was no stories. It was 5 to 8 posts every single day, talking to 250 people every single week. I worked nights, I worked weekend, right? I didn't make money for 5 years, but I was compelled by the future. I was compelled by, like, I saw what it had done with
And then you went viral?
my life. And I knew I needed to share this with people. I was motivated by the money, but I was motivated. I could never focus on the money. I had to focus on the message. Same thing right now as I'm building this life coaching thing. We took a 50% hit in income as I've made this pivot from body over to life coaching, and my brain has been noisy. Maybe
You're still in body.
it's not going to work. What's going on, right? But it's like, of course it's going to work because I'm not going to give up. And what I have to share is too important. It's just too important. I've got to get out there. Like, I need to free women from their mind, like in the same way that this is done for me. The money will be a byproduct. So when you say you're made for more, but when all the more
She's currently telling this person that when Ashlie is living in a multi-million-dollar home and this lady has never seen any of that success, and she's been in body for 9 years. She's been in the medical industry for 27 years. And Ashlie went viral.
is the money doesn't happen that fast. So it's like, I'm so excited because this is going to be the thing. Oh shit, it's hard. Then it's not the thing, right? It's like, I'm all in until it gets hard. And then that's not the thing. Like, let it be hard. If you cannot make more money in the field that you're in, the other thing for me is I always played the long game. I was like, if I don't give up.
She's been playing the long game. 9 years is the long game in body. Listen to the people you're talking to. Maybe you're supposed to learn how to listen when you get qualified to be a therapist. And obviously she's not a therapist. So maybe that's why she can't listen.
If I show up every single day in 5 years, I'm going to have $1 million business. And I was like, because I would listen, with body, they host those wake up calls. And the person that recruited me into the business did not mentor me or anything. She didn't work the business. So I only had the wake up calls, which are hosted by like the top coaches, right? Mm-hmm. And I would just hear their stories. I would hear how broken they were and what they came into it with, and then how they turned it around and the freedom that they created in their lives. And for a while, I was like resentful of the person that enrolled me in the business because I felt like it was a disservice that she wasn't mentoring me. And, I had to fumble through. But probably about 5 years in, actually, when I realized it was such a gift, because what happened was I was hearing from all these people who had messy backgrounds and made it work. And so in my brain, it was like, well, I have all this stuff. Of course it's going to work. It's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if.
Ashlie, the person you're talking to worked body for 9 years and is still working body. So please remember the person you're talking to and stop talking over them. Having a customer is not your chance to just tell your story over and over and over and over again. You're supposed to be helping someone. Oh yeah, and also, you're not a licensed therapist. This concludes your announcement, Ashlie Molstad.
Decided I will be $1 million business owner. Mm-hmm. It's just when. I don't know what the timeline is, but I can either show up for a little bit, let it get hard, and then just go back to this life that I actually want to change. That's why I'm adding this to my plate, because I don't want to just go back to this life. And trust me, there were many times I wanted to quit. It was like, felt like it was so, because I was working a full-time corporate job and then coming home and then working the business on, this side hustle. And I was not, you were working way more hours than you're getting paid for initially, right? For 5 years, it did that. But I was always thinking, like, in 5 years, of course, this is going to work out. Of course, it's going to work. Like, of course, look at all these other people that it's working for.
Actually, it's not. That's why they're jumping ship to other multi-level marketing companies or have left body altogether.
Why wouldn't it work for me? I just believed. And so I was like, in fact, it's the same thing when I started my podcast, right? Like, so many people start podcasts and they're like, shit, this is a lot of work and I'm not getting a lot of listeners. I'm not getting a lot of feedback and it's not making me money yet. I'm out. But if you continue to show up every single week, it's going to turn into something.
Is it? There are people that have been on YouTube for years and they've tried to and they don't get over 100 subscribers. It is not just a matter of time. It's a multifaceted issue. There's multi-inputs that go into you being successful. Yeah, consistency is one of them. There's a bunch of other things you need to.
Just gotta believe, right? So it's like I think the reason that you're stuck right now is because you're playing the short game, not the long game. You're like, I'm made for more, but I need more to be here today. And right now you have way too much growth to do to be making the kind of money you want to make. So what I would do is lean into those challenges, lean into the struggle, get cozy with those insecurities, right? And play the long game. For me, it's like, if I just keep showing up and I'm doing these things and I'm getting it out there, I'm not making the kind of money that I was with Beachbody, with life coaching yet, but I know that I will. And I know it'll be more than that. Like, this is going to be way bigger than it ever was before. It's not going to happen on my timeline. And I have way too much growth to do to get to like where I want to be. And I'm excited for that. Now, my brain is still sometimes like, oh God, this is not, this is really hard and it takes forever. And what if it doesn't work out? I've actually had a lot of defeatist thoughts this week. And it's just like, I hear you, brain, but like, this is our plan. We're here. We're just going to keep showing up for 10 years. If it takes me 10 years to become a $10 million life coach, okay, what's the alternative, right? Like, the worst case scenario of trying something and then it not working is you just get back to the life you're living now. Okay.
Right.
Like, you're already living it. So it can't get worse than it is.
It literally can. You can lose your job. You can get priced out of where you live. Inflation, there can be pay cuts. She's already spending monthly money on Beachbody and she's doing this other certifications. She already tried some other stuff to be a chocolatier. It literally can get worse than it is. Just because it hasn't gotten worse for you doesn't mean it doesn't get worse for others.
But if you get out there and you're like committed and you're going to try, and you just keep showing up, you're committed like for 5 years or 10 years or whatever. Like, if I could say you're going to be, I don't know, what's your goal? What's your financial goal? You want 7 figures? Like, what is it you want?
Multiple 6 figures.
Okay. So if I could say, Magic 8 Ball says, I can see it clear as day. 5 years from now, you're making multiple 6 figures. It's like, it's done. You would operate in a totally different way.
No, you literally always say this. All people in multi-level marketing says, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Well, if you're talking about be consistent above all else and just continue on, and what you have been doing before hasn't led to results, how does that play out for this person that you're coaching who's been in body for 9 years?
Right? Because what you're doing now is like marching down a path and then being like, this path doesn't feel so good. It's not working. Let me try the other path. This one also, it's not right. You're like marching down a path, hoping that the goal is going to be right there. And the goal is 5 years from now. But 5 years, that's what happened to me. I was working my ass off for 5 years with Beachbody. And then in year 5, it blew up. My income, like, it was insane. That was our first 7-figure year. I think it was like, I think it was like 800, maybe 800K in that year 5.
800K, which would be 6 figures.
So, it took me 5 years of working
She's been in body for 9 years. Not Ashlie Molstad, the client that you're talking about that you haven't even really spoken to. You've just been talking the whole time.
Off every single day, managing my mind, being consistent to get there. But like, if I have proof that 5 years from now, you're making multiple 6 figures, you're going to go through a bunch of bullshit along the way.
Yeah, true.
Well, try.
You may as well try. Great advice, Ashlie. This lady is 50. She's been in Beachbody for 9 years. She hasn't made money in Beachbody.
How do you deal with the imposter syndrome?
It's just a bullshit.
Like, I feel like, that's the other thing too, is like, well, who would want to work with me? And honestly, like,
who would want to work with you?
What?
Who would want to work with you? Why would someone want to work with you?
Somebody would want to work with me because I'm a good listener and I actually do know a lot about health and wellness, with my background as well. I can help people. I really I enjoy helping people. I mean, the people that I have helped, it feels really good at the end of the day. Like, that's the thing I love. Mm-hmm. I get excited about that. Mm. But yeah, I just feel like, it's just hard, I guess.
Why? Why is it hard?
Ashlie Molstad, what are these questions? Let me tell you, maybe this is my guess. She's been in Beachbody and seen no success for 9 years. She is living paycheck to paycheck. And you don't remember that because you were talking the whole time. You know what? We may just need to bring in Polite Demon Lawyer because, I don't think the snark is snarking at the correct level for this fuckery.
Because your brain says, so if you know why someone would want to work with you, you're a good listener, you know a lot about health and wellness, you can help people, so you have evidence of that. You enjoy helping people. You get excited about helping people. Mm-hmm. People are going to want to work with you. You're just not putting it out there for people to work with.
I'm actually funny. I'm really fun.
Yeah. Really funny, personable, relatable.
Yeah.
So when your brain says who would want to work with you, it's like a lot of people. I just haven't found them yet. I hear you, brain, right? Like we want there to be this easy button where you can just flip. That's the growth I'm talking about, where it's like when your brain presents that thought, who would want to work with you? I don't know, but I'll find out. I'm going to keep working on me because I mean, I don't know how long you've been following me. Most people have not been here from the beginning. Like I started in 2013, my page as Foodie Girl Fitness, and I was so insecure back then. I had those same thoughts. I'm not inspiring. No one cares what I have to say. But I also had the thought of like, it's so weird because my subconscious thoughts were very insecure, but I consciously was like, no, I know I can do this, you know? So I just leaned more on those conscious thoughts. You have them. You just have to be spending more time intentionally thinking them. What you're doing right now is your brain is offering thoughts and you're like, well, those are probably true. And look, I have all this evidence of how no one really has joined me. So yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. And then when you think that, like you said, you started off, you said, I feel like I'm a mess. You said, I feel stuck in my life. And those thoughts, how do you feel when you think I'm a mess?
So unmotivated, definitely not creative. Like I just feel like I'm going through the motions of the day. Like I just,
And that is that's why people aren't joining you, right? When you're showing up from I'm a mess, or when you say, I feel stuck in my life. I'm stuck in my life. How does that feel?
Well, it doesn't feel good. My brain feels very cluttered when I feel that way. And I just feel like, I just don't feel like myself. Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, when you're feeling that, if you're thinking I'm a mess, because you said, you guys heard it, right? When she came on, you said it like the sky is blue. I'm a mess. I feel stuck in my life. Sky is like, it's so factual. Those are just made up thoughts. How could we prove in the court of law that you are a mess or that you're stuck in your life? No way, right? But when you think those thoughts, you show up from like a muted down place, an insecure place. You're not motivating. You're not inspiring when you're thinking like that, right? And then of course, the result of that is, no one's joining me. It's still messy and I'm still stuck. I haven't moved. But you also have thoughts like, I am a good listener. I know a lot about health and wellness. I can help people. I enjoy helping people. I get excited about helping people. I'm funny. I'm personable. I can work hard. You clearly have done that, you know, like, so you have these thoughts. And when you think about those things, why someone would want to join you, how does that feel? What is the feeling then?
It makes me feel good. Makes me a little bit energized.
Okay, so you're energized. And when you're energized or maybe confident or whatever, you're going to show up very differently than when you're thinking I'm a mess and I'm stuck.
Yes.
And they're all just thoughts, actually. We couldn't prove that you're a good listener or that you know a lot of, like, what's a lot about, right? We couldn't prove it. Just thought those thoughts feel better. That story feels better. So anticipate your brain out of muscle memory is going to tell you that you're a mess and you're stuck. And that you're not inspiring and no one is going to care. Just anticipate that. I hear you, brain, but I want to see what happens if I lean on these things that I know I can bring value to people's lives. I'm going to act that way because I sure as shit know that if I do that for 5 years and I bring that level of confidence, like even if you don't make a whole bunch of money, the person you will become in the process of managing your mind and showing up for 5 years will be probably reward enough. But I would pretty much guarantee that if you were able to manage your mind and start really believing in yourself and letting those negative voices be there, because they're going to be a part of the journey. It's just your brain being your brain. I would pretty much guarantee that you will be successful. But you have this whole story and then your brain is backing it up with a bunch of evidence of why you're not.
Okay.
You know, you just have to spend more time on the positive and where you offer value. And then also think about like what else might be more compelling than just the money, because the money isn't compelling enough for you to stick with it. Like you want it right now. What is for me?
I don't understand. The people that she has been coaching in this course are like good people. They need help. And I don't think Ashlie is qualified or has even helped any of them. I personally don't. I don't know. I don't get it.
I had to like picture when I was making money because we were, paycheck to paycheck, we were in debt and broke and all of that when I started. And so if I just focused on the money and the money didn't happen fast enough, that's when I would want to hit the eject button. But if I thought about like, what does life look like when I'm making multiple six figures, right? When I'm making where am I living? When do I get up? What am I doing? Who am I spending time? Like I visualized my house. It's ended up not being anything like it, but I was living actually in a cabin and I had a white kitchen, which I did have that and I do have that now, but I didn't ever live in the forest. But I thought I was going to live in the woods and I would wake up with no alarm. I was so clear on what life would look like. And for me, a huge motivator for more money was John, my husband, hated his job. It was like soul sucking. And I felt like it was taking years off of his life. And so I wanted to do that for him, right? I was very compelled to work hard for him so that he didn't have to work that job anymore. But I think you need to be like, why do I want to make money? What is it I think that money is going to bring me? And how can I act as if I'm living that way now and bring that money to me?
Here's a question. Is there a reason that you're hoping to earn $200,000 to $300,000 a year?
You're living out of scarcity, but like live with that future focus in mind, really vision cast and see yourself living that, believe that, manifest that. Truly, you can. And then anticipate your brain being a dick because that's what brains do.
It's not what brains do.
Okay.
Right. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So where am I going to be 5 years? I want you to journal on that tomorrow. 5 years from now, if I'm making multiple six figures, what does my life look like? And what are the thoughts that I'm thinking? If I've done it, how am I acting? How am I showing up? How am I dressing? Get very clear on what that life looks like, because that might be more compelling to you. And it will also mean there'll be a part of it. It's like, if I'm making multiple six figures, it means I will have had a huge impact on the world around me, right? The people, the clients, depending on what work you're going to do. But like, that's a thing too. So you'll have all of this fulfillment of like, what I'm doing matters.
Can I ask one more question? I'm sorry, I don't want to take up everybody's time, but so I did do this recently. What would my life look like in 5 years? And I shared it with my husband, and he said it made him sad because he doesn't think that those things will happen.
Okay.
And he's usually like what?
Why does he need to, this is your vision.
True.
You don't need his support on your dreams. You want it because you have so much doubt in your own ability, but you don't need that. John did not see it either, okay, at all. And in fact, he was very resentful of how much I was on my phone, because you see the potential of whatever, right? Like if you're doing the chocolatiering, you are more involved in the chocolate world. You know what's possible. You've seen probably other people that are, chocolatiers that have become successful. Like he's not immersed in that. He's not involved in body the way that you are. He doesn't see the potential of these things. You don't need him to sign off on your dream. That dream can just be for you. Then money talks. So once the money starts coming, he'll be like, oh, okay, I can see that now. But of course he doesn't see it now. And you don't need him to.
Do you understand about conflict in a partnership or no? What?
Okay. That makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Put you back to attendee. Next up, I have, I'm going to promote you to panelist. Guys, this freaking pimple is just bugging me.
Can't see it, Ashlie.
Unmute.
Hi.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm so, you guys, I feel like
I'm so nervous.
Oh, yeah, that's normal. It's weird to do this, but it's very brave and vulnerable. It's good for you. So I'm glad that you volunteered.
I'm so excited because I've followed you for a long time. And Beachbody with you, and I really admire all your advice on a lot of things, and I wanted to get your advice on some stuff. Okay. I've had a really hard time lately. I run a business. I'm an interior designer, and I've done really well for like 6 years. And sorry, I'm crying.
It's also part of it is because
the last
we're vulnerable right now and exposed. So
Let her
I
talk.
always cry when I
Let her
if
talk.
I'm in something like this, so don't worry about that.
Okay, I'm a residential interior designer. I've been doing like really, really well for like 6 years. This past year, COVID made it like sales were great and everyone wanted their homes done. And then this year, because everyone's back in their offices, they don't need as much help. So I've had less work coming in, and I have a lot of negative self-talk around, why is that work not coming in? Is it because you're not good enough? Are you not old enough? Are you not rich enough? My industry really heavily revolves around the way you look to get hired, like, Instagram and social media, the way that you perceive yourself online, looking like you can, all the things. And so I try to stay off social media. I try to not follow people who make me feel bad, but it's part of my job is to know the competition out there, and it's really tricky. I've been really, your feedback this week with all the emails has been super helpful, because I've been telling myself, you're thinking that you're not worthy, and the imposter syndrome thing is, in full effect. And I'm like, your brain is telling you you're not good enough. And I know I'm good enough because I've bought a house last year because of all the success I've had. Like, it's been really great, but, it's hard. You have a lot of control over your mind. I can see that, and I wish I had more over mine. And I want to learn more how to do that. So,
so as mine was a little bit different in the career. Like, you're still in the same line of work, but it was similar. So when I know that but in case other people don't.
Another personal story, even though someone just shared something really hard for them, you're going to talk about yourself again.
I was at Body for like a decade. I'm still with them, but I'm just not actively working it. But with Body, I, in 10 years had become the #1 coach, and I had so much, it was false confidence. I see that now. But at the time, I felt like I had so much confidence. And I remember when I went to get certified to be a life coach, and I told John, like, I think that this is the area, I want to do. He was like, what do you mean? Like, Beachbody is our income. You can't just leave it. And he's like, what if life coaching doesn't work out? And I wasn't ever going to leave it, but I was like pulling my energy from it. Right. And I remember like when I first made that choice, I can picture it where he was sitting in the kitchen, where I was sitting in the living room. And I was like, well, if this doesn't work out, something else will. Like, of course, I'm always going to figure it out. Like, yeah. In my brain, it was so clear, like I was going to be successful no matter what. And then the longer I went without like making money with life coaching, the louder my brain, and as my engagement started falling off and Beachbody recognition started falling off, the doubt started getting so loud. And then thoughts like, well, what if that was a fluke, that you were that successful? Like, what if actually nobody really cares what you have to say? What if that's the most successful you ever be? Like, you hit the peak and now everything else is going to be less, right? All of these thoughts. And when I thought that, it would make me feel insecure and also scared and all kinds of things, but I wouldn't want to show up. Like, when I'm insecure, I didn't have content to put out. I didn't, do offers. I would scroll, or I'd try to distract my brain, or I'd do whatever. And then of course the result is, your business isn't growing. So then more evidence that it's not working. Right. And I actually had to be coached on this very thing by Brooke herself. She coached me. And she was like, it's a story. What do you mean? Of course. She's like, of course your brain is offering me. Who cares? Yeah. So what? She's like, you know that you can do this. Like, you've done it. You know that you can do it. And you can just decide that you can do it. Why are you even indulging? Of course your brain is telling you this. Why are you making that a big deal? Like, your brain, brain, I hear you. That's your brain being your brain. And then, seeing very clearly that when I feel insecure, because I'm like, this isn't working, or no one cares what I have to say, and I feel insecure, I don't post, I distract myself, and the result is nobody cares what I have to say because I'm not saying shit. I'm not putting it out there. I'm not making offers, right? Yeah. So, and then I just felt like I was like floundering, and I had this whole story, and I think I might have said it in here before, but the place that I felt like I was in when I was in the middle of a pivot was, have you ever seen The Hunger Games?
Oh my God.
I think it's
She told this story already. You don't remember if you told it?
the second one where they're in there. Maybe it's the third one. And they find out that it's a clock. So they realize like at every hour, there's different things, and they realize it's a clock, and the game masters see that. And so they spin it. And they see these people like everywhere, right? And then they don't know where they're landing. That's what I felt like. I felt like I was in the spin, and I'm like, I'm spinning right now, and I don't know where I'm going to land. I feel so unsettled, so unsure. I
have the same feelings right now too. Yeah, I have the same feelings right now because I know it's going to be okay, but I have this like anxiety of it's not going to be. I have a mortgage now, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do. But I've seen 6 years. I've been doing it just fine, but the minute it doesn't work out, and I get so tough, it's hard to knock it away.
Right. And I had a friend that told me, she's like, Ashlie, you're just swimming in the river of misery. And if you remember that post I did, I think it was at the end of last year, where...
Remember the post I did at the end of last year? Come on, this is supposed to be a professional, life coaching thing. Give them examples that they can reference in the middle of the class.
I talked about, and I get this visual of and again, it's a little bit different because I was changing careers, but you're just in the river of misery of growth. Like, you're about to go to the next level. But there's some resistance going on, and you actually can't get to the next level until you do the hard swimming across the channel in the river of misery. But I had this visual of I had this island, and I built this massively successful empire, and I knew all the nooks and crannies and the hallways, and I just knew it inside out, and it was easy, and it felt good, and it was safe and all of that. But I was like, okay, but I think I've outgrown that. Maybe there's another island out there. So then I started swimming, but then the waves are crashing, and I can't see the island yet. I don't know where I'm going. And it felt so scary. When she told me, you're just swimming in the river of misery, it's not, so what? It calmed my brain down of oh, I'm just swimming in the river. I'm going to get somewhere eventually, right? The idea of I'm spinning and I don't know where I'm going to land, and I'm very scared right now. And for me, it was did I make a bad decision because I saw our income going down and I didn't know how I was going to get it back up, right? But I was able to just be oh, you're just swimming right now. It's supposed to be hard. This is calling you to level up. It's calling you to grow. You're supposed to have a down year in your business right now so that you can do some growing, so you can become who you need to be to make more money, to help more people, to have a bigger business than ever. Your brain is offering, this is a gift. I look at those, it really was 3 years for me. and 50% income drop is pretty significant. So, that was very scary. But when I stayed in the scared and I stayed in the, what if it was a fluke?
She made $800,000 in her 5th year in Beachbody. So maybe that has dropped significantly.
What if it's, the best days are behind me? That is when I guaranteed that, because that's how I would show up. Right. But if I was like, no, I'm just swimming and I'm swimming to the next island because that was beautiful and that was amazing. But I'm ready for the next challenge. I'm ready to become, level up and become the next version of myself. And I'm excited for that. And yeah, sometimes I have to flip over and float for a little bit and I'll just get back to swimming, right? Because I know what I'm capable of. I know that there is something out there. Your brain is just getting really noisy right now.
It's really noisy.
Part of your growth. I'm just swimming right now.
So just tell myself every day it's going to be okay and that it'll be bigger and better eventually. Just keep saying that to myself.
Well, you said to me, you said, I know I'm good enough. You're like, my brain will say I'm not good enough, but I know that I am.
It's the truth. Like, yeah.
And like, when you think those thoughts, I know I'm good enough. How does that feel?
It feels helpful. Like it feels encouraging.
Okay.
But like this year I got put on a list of the top 90 designers to watch in the country. And I should be telling myself, like, obviously there's proof I'm good enough, but I still have, this is why I'm here. This negative, busy talk in my, I don't know. I'm going to therapy for it too.
What is the worst case scenario for you? What is it you're so...
Ashlie, sorry, I'm coming late to the party, but can you just stop interrupting the people when they're talking to you? It's not only impolite, you're supposed to be helping them, not waiting for them to stop speaking so you can talk more about yourself. Thanks so much.
Your brain is so afraid of right now?
Probably money. It sucks, but that's probably the truth. Money? I bought this house and money. Yeah, I worry that my income will go down so far that I won't be able to afford the mortgage and I'll have to move out of this house. That's what I get scared of.
What if that happens? What if you have to sell this house?
I have to move to an apartment or something.
Okay.
I know it sounds stupid, but it's scary.
No, it's not stupid. Don't judge your brain. This is your brain, right? If you move to an apartment, if you had to sell this house and move to an apartment, tell me what would be so awful about that?
I would feel like a failure.
Right. What would be so awful about that is the thoughts that you're thinking, and you have control of those. Listen, if you are in such a downturn on your business that you have to sell this house and you have to move into an apartment, you're still alive. You'll be okay.
Yeah, no, I know.
It would be embarrassing, right? It would be very hard for your ego.
Yeah.
But okay. So it's hard on your ego.
Yeah.
It's hard on your ego. Guaranteed. You can either lay down and take it and suffer, or you can be like, well, shit, I got to really rebuild myself now. That's what I truly feel like when I pivoted from Beachbody, I hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I needed, I did not build I didn't have anything I could put on my resume for 3 years, really, but it was some of the most powerful, transformative work of my life, right? It was way better than anything I could put on the resume. And
that powerful transformative work cannot be put on a resume. So you're saying it can't. So with people who actually need the income to be able to live and pay for their mortgage, pay for their rent, pay for their food, all that other stuff, what is that going to do in terms of getting them the income they need to survive?
So it's if that happens and you have to sell your house and move into an apartment, it's going to be embarrassing. What's so awful about being embarrassed?
Because I'm prideful. Mm-hmm. Maybe a narcissist. I don't know.
Oh, that doesn't. Yeah, I don't get narcissism from you.
You said earlier on the call, our generation was given so much good job, honey. You did so good at school, and I got a lot of that growing up. So now, I feed off of it, I think. And if I don't get it, if I am not successful, I feel like a failure, and that's the root of it, probably.
Yeah. Are you? Do you do the Enneagram?
I'm telling you, their Enneagram. It's Enneagrams for dinner parties or for, I don't know, friends. It's maybe just fun. What therapist is telling you about your Enneagram?
Yeah, I think I'm a 4.
Oh, okay. I would have said a 3.
Sorry, I think maybe 3 or 4. I forget.
Well, the 3 is
I'm driven by success. That's
so that's 3. You're a 3. Which makes sense then. I'm a 3 also. And I can remember lots of times growing up just thinking nothing was special about me until I had achievements, right? And that's actually why it was so hard with Beachbody. Once I reached the top, I was like, oh, I've done it. Because I remember as I was growing it was just never enough. Like when I first went to my first summit and I was an emerald, I didn't wear the emerald. And then I went as a diamond. I didn't wear the diamond because I'm like, there's people that are 15 star. Like I'm not going to wear a, why would I be proud of this? There's higher. And then I got to the top of the, like, there was no one in front of me. It was almost an identity crisis because I was like, what do I do now? Now that I've been,
you belittled your successes so
and
much.
yet I'm still insecure. Like, you know, it was just like crazy. And so just know that that's a part of being a 3 is this need to be successful. But for me, that's the work that I've really done over the last 3 years was deciding like I was confident at Beachbody because the world around me was telling me I can be, right? I had all these people saying things to me on Instagram. My engagement was high. My followers were up. I was getting all this recognition, all these people saying, caring what I had to say. And so my brain was saying like, oh yeah, people like you. You can be confident. But then as those things left, so did my confidence. And I realized that was not ever my confidence. I was borrowing their confidence in me. And the last 3 years, I had to build my own confidence. So I was always motivated by achieving things because I wanted people to see me successful. I thought that meant I had value, right? I'm always going to be an Enneagram 3. I'm always going to be someone that's very driven, but now I just have to manage my mind around, I'm doing this for me. I want to see what I'm capable of. I'm not doing it for your approval. Now, that's not always easy. I want people to know I'm successful still, right? It's like, it's in me. Right. But I just have to manage that of like, why do I want this? My subconscious is like, you want it because then everyone thinks it's amazing and whatever, and you can brag about it. I can't really do anything about that. That's there. But I just have to continue maintaining my focus on like, I want this for me. I want to see what I'm capable of. I want to see how big of an impact I can have. I want to become as free and strong and resilient as I can because I know it matters to my kids, right? Like I'm raising this next generation and
free and confident and successful as I can because it matters to my kids. Maybe the confidence does.
I want to give them the healthiest, strongest, most resilient mom that they can be because that's going to rub off on them, right? I have all these other things. So I'm not just afraid anymore of like, if I don't achieve things that my value goes down. Now that's still a thought, but I just try to manage around that of like, that's not true. And the reason I don't want it to be true is because I don't like the way I feel when I think it.
I think that's where I have to stop it. Like, you know, tell myself that's not true. Whatever you're saying is not what I'm telling myself is not true. And kind of just moving past it, you know, and moving on to the next positive thought.
And also for me, it was really helpful to realize when I think this thought, I pretty much guarantee this thought. Like when I think I'm not good enough or my business isn't going to grow again, and then that makes me feel insecure. So then I take the kind of actions that looks like not putting the offers out there, not showing up on social, distracting myself, right? I'm not doing the things that would actually build my business. The result is it's grow. And your brain's like, yep, see, told you. And so I was just like, I don't want to think those thoughts because I don't want to act that way. So I have to think a thought that's believable. And you do believe I'm good enough. You said it. Right?
Yeah, I do.
You just have to intentionally, it requires no work for your primal brain to offer you your insecurities. So it feels like it's easier, but you do also believe I'm good enough and that I can do this. I've done it. I did it for 6 years, built this. I mean, you're in freaking top 90 interior designers to watch, right? Like
that, I think it's like a muscle. It's like practicing a muscle. Like the more you muscle memory, like you tell your no brain it's not true. And hopefully after telling it so many times, you start, and I felt that over the last 4 weeks of journaling and like catching a thought and validate is it true or not true in court of law. Like it's been super helpful. So I would say like from the time I started this with you and to now, I feel very different when I start to think the negative thoughts. It's been super helpful.
The other thing, like you can say it's not true. Sometimes when there's a thought that is really strong though, instead of me saying like, no, it's not true. I'll say, well, it might not be. I'm just going to try something else for a little while. Right? Like maybe it's true that I'm not good enough. That could be true, brain, but let's just explore what it looks like if I am good enough. I can always come back to this, but like, I want to see right. Instead of like shutting it down, that's kind of like resisting and it makes it more powerful. But if you're just like, oh, it could be true, but this could also be true that I'm good enough. And that like, I'm actually meant to be going through these challenges. So like both can exist and not like rejecting it. And like, cause I feel, do you have kids?
Yeah, one.
So, you know, when they, throw a temper tantrum, right?
I have a 5-year-old. I have a 5-year-old.
Yeah. So like you've seen a temper tantrum and they're pretty irrational, right? Like children's brains don't work, right? It's like, you see those jokes on the internet. It's like, my son is crying because I wouldn't let him get in the oven with the bread, right? Like the toddler's brains don't necessarily always work. But if you say like, what's wrong with you? That's not true. And you shame them. That feels like shit. And it makes it a bigger thing. Or if you agree with
Yeah.
me, like, yeah, you should put in the oven with the bread. Yeah, let's do that. Right? That also empowers it. But if you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it, buddy. You really want to get in the oven with the bread. We're not going to do that right now. Okay. It's okay to be sad about that. I totally get it. I would be sad if I can't do the things, right? It's like, that's how I sort of talk to my brain. I don't try to resist it.
Yeah.
I try not to judge it. And sometimes I'll catch myself and be like, that's not helping. Right? I don't agree with it and I don't resist. I just let it be there. It's okay that your brain.
You try a different thought.
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
I'll try a different thought, or I'll just be like, it could be true I'm not good enough. It also could be true that I am good enough. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm not doing as much commentary in these spots. I don't understand. Part of what she's saying makes sense of some of the thought stuff. I guess I'm over her interrupting her, the people.
not good enough. It also could be true that I am good enough. And I know for sure when I think I'm not good enough, I guarantee that I'm not, right? Because I'm not showing up as my best self when I think this thought.
Yeah.
So while that may be true, I want to explore what it looks like to show up as my best self. And it's not coming from that thought. It's coming from that, actually, I think I am good enough. So
Right.
you're allowed to be in the car with me as we cruise through this next journey. But like right now, the driving thought is, I think I could be good enough. I am good enough, right? So instead of resisting and making it, it's like, it's just allowed to be there. There you are, brain, doing what you do. You're doing your best to keep me alive. I get it. Thank you. But actually, I'm excited about this season of growth. You don't even know what is in store for us, right? It's just like, I just kind of observe my brain. Some days are easier than others. But it's like, you're allowed to have shitty thoughts. It doesn't have to mean, and what we try to do is like this on actually tomorrow's podcast episode, I talk about tolerating uncomfortable emotions. Like right now you're in a difficult season and your brain is making it mean shit is going down the tubes fast, right? But what if it's like, we're in a shitty season. How do I want to feel about that? What I would say for me is like, there's growth opportunity here. I'm about to level up and it is painful to get to that next level, but like, I'm here for it. I'm ready. I don't know who's going to meet me on the other side, but she's going to be better than she is right now. So like, I'm here for, right? So it's like, you're trying to thought swap so that you feel positive emotions. What I'm saying is like, what if it just sucks right now and we let it be hard? It's not.
I kind of just want it to be hard. Like during the time it's hard and I'm not as busy as I used to be. Like, I'm just like, going to lunches with architects and builders and trying to make connections and, and then when I'm not busy, I don't have any more of that. I got my nails done. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to like, let it be and like, not let my brain keep going and just like do something productive or be a mom for a minute and just do other things that are not focused on work so that I'm not obsessing over it.
Right. And then also reminding yourself that like the worst case scenario is embarrassment. I can totally handle embarrassment. Like if it comes to that.
As a three, it's scary. So I don't want it to get to that.
Yeah, but you're so afraid of feeling an emotion. That's it. Like the worst thing that you're not, when I say what's the worst case scenario?
Can we not yell? Can we not be frustrated? Is that not your job as the life coach, so to speak? Ma'am, why are we yelling?
Well, I might have to sell you aren't like, well, that I would implode and I'd die and my whole family would go with me. Like that's scary shit. What you're afraid of is feeling an emotion. Feeling an emotion is why you're in this course.
Yeah.
You actually want to feel emotion. Right? So when you're like, and your brain is so, you give me all these reasons of like, no, but actually really, truly it is scary. I'm just saying it's not that scary to feel an emotion.
Yeah,
and
it
if
is.
you are
it is.
to learn the lesson of what embarrassment feels like, the universe is going to give it to you and you'll learn it. And then you'll survive it and you'll probably become better for it.
Ma'am?
Right? Like being embarrassed is not a big deal. People think, oh, wow, she really effed up. Okay, no problem. Like go ahead and think what you need to think about my life. I've clearly stumbled. What's that quote that's like, rock bottom was the ground from which the solid ground from which I grew my empire or whatever, something. Right? So like if that were to happen, you would survive embarrassment and you'd be a massively stronger person for it. But also it's probably not going to happen.
But it's good to just exercise my brain and think about how would you feel if it did happen? It's not the end of the world. You're right. My family's safe and I'm healthy, whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like you're not going to get to the point where you can't feed your kids or you don't have a roof. Maybe it's not interior design. Maybe you got to go get a job somewhere else at Starbucks. Okay. So the hardest, the thing you're most afraid of is just your own mind.
A merchandiser or getting on with a home building company where you're the one helping the customers pick out the stone and the cabinets and the finishings and stuff, or like maybe it's not that easy. I know it's not that easy. She's like, go get a job at Starbucks. Not that that's bad at all. I'm just saying she she has a lot of training and she's got a lot of stuff on her resume that she can give to somebody else.
Thank you so much for your help.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. I was glad to get to engage with you face to face.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy. Thank you so much. By the way, I have to tell you, I told my therapist about you, and she's going to go listen to your podcast now. So,
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, dear God.
All right, I'm going to change you back to attendee. I think let's do one more, guys. So I'm going to promote you to panelist. You guys are awesome. Yes. I'm noticing the more compassionate I am towards my brain when I'm challenging my thoughts, the less my brain resists. Hey.
How are you?
Oh, there we go. Okay, I got you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm so sorry for your loss too. Like I've been following you forever, like before babies. But anyway, the reason I raised my hand is because like 6 years ago I was cheated on by my ex, and it was an emotional like affair that he had. And ever since then, like anyone that I get close to, I just like push away. Because I'm like afraid of like the vulnerability, and I probably like might have just lost like a really important relationship recently because of it.
Okay.
And well, soon like we've just been hanging out, like in a situationship, like hanging out, like hooking up, but we talked all the time. And then he kind of was like pushing for more. And the minute he did that, I like just kind of was like, no, can't we just leave things like how they are? Like, because I was working on myself.
Like he wanted commitment, or what was he pushing for more?
Wanted more yeah, like I think he was trying to push maybe for a relationship, but he's really bad at communicating, and so am I. So the two of us together are just bad. So he basically said his feelings, and like I think because we had one conversation, he just like demanded that I stop talking to other people that I was.
okay.
And I was like, no, because he always, would hang out with other girls and, whatever. So it was just like, it wasn't supposed to be any more than it was. And I get when there's like feelings and stuff like that. But then like a month ago, like a couple weeks ago, we were talking and I was like joking around. I'm like, oh, well, maybe you'll like meet the next one. He's like, well, I already changed my Facebook status. And then I literally like thought I was going to throw up. So
In a relationship or something?
Yeah, that he was like in a relationship, and he never like came out and said to me like, hey, like this is how I feel. And if you don't feel that way, I'm going to start like dating people, like we always talk to other people, but
so do you want us to be in a committed relationship with him?
I don't know. I just like really, I'm like so sad. Like he was like my best friend. Like I've been, like I took him off. And it's funny with the whole boundary thing that you're talking about. Like I've taken him off Facebook and stuff. And he was like so mad. And I was like, why? Like I need to protect my heart. Like I don't want to see that. Which,
See what? Him?
And with other women.
Before, like where I stayed friends with an ex, and then you start seeing, even though we weren't like in a relationship.
Okay, so he wanted to be in a relationship. He changed his Facebook status to in a relationship. Then you said, I don't want to go to that next level. And so it's like done.
We never really like talked about like the next, like we never really had like a conversation. He just kind of like brought it up. And then I, like honestly, for like a whole month, like my daughter had COVID and I had COVID. Like you never really get a chance. And like, I had felt him maybe like being a little distant with me. But by the time I was like thinking that I would get a chance to talk to him, and it was actually that night when I was like, oh, relationship. And he was just like, oh, I might have already changed my status. I'm like, what?
Why did that make you feel like you were going to throw up?
Because she didn't agree to it, Ashlie.
I don't know if it's your earbuds or what, but you keep cutting out.
You may take them off.
Maybe. Yeah. See if it's just like your phone speaker will be better. So why did you feel like you were going to throw up?
Because I wasn't ready to like let him go like that, I think.
I'm so confused. I thought you said he changed his relationship status to in a relationship.
Yeah, but not with me.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
With someone
Sorry.
else.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And he did that because he came to you and wanted to go to the next level and you told him no?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I just kind of like brushed it off. Like he had a lot going on, I did. And then literally within 3 weeks, this all happened.
Okay.
So I just felt kind of blindsided. But I keep doing it. This is the second time I've done this in 2 years. So
okay. So why don't you want to be in a relationship with him? Why didn't you? Because now you're thinking different thoughts, but at the time, what is this? Because you brought up that you were cheated on 6 years ago. So what is it that's holding you back from being committed to someone now?
I think I'm just like scared to be like vulnerable to someone. And I feel like every time I get like someone gets close to me, I just like totally pull away.
Okay. When you got cheated on 6 years ago, do you think...
I thought life coaching wasn't about going into your past, but looking to your future. Am I not understanding what life coaching is supposed to be? Because isn't 6 years ago, by definition, in the past?
You were supposed to be with that person, knowing he was cheating on you?
No, and I take my accountability for it too.
Yeah. So you weren't supposed to be with him, right? What do you think that you're a stronger... Like, did anything good come from him cheating on you? Why was it the best thing that he cheated on you?
What? Did I miss something?
Because I did take accountability and I forgave him and realized like I wanted, like he was never gonna, like he wasn't gonna fulfill me. Like we weren't emotionally connected. Like this part was very good, but we were never emotionally, and it took me years. I mean, that stuff does not happen overnight. It took me probably 3 to 4 years to not feel numb anymore after I left. So, yeah.
So you had to do a lot of freaking work.
Yeah. And and I'm independent. So it's hard for guys sometimes because they want the girl that's all over them. And, you know, I'm just not.
Okay. Maybe.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Like maybe the guys that you're working with.
Yes.
Ew. Ashlie, what a judgmental thing to say.
But it's my type. It's my type of guy. Yes.
Okay. So then choose a different type or be okay with it. Like, you know, they want to be super involved. But what I will say is like, you're protecting yourself from what? I'm scared to be vulnerable to someone because if I'm vulnerable, then what? What would be the worst thing that could happen?
I was afraid if I was vulnerable with him and it didn't work out, I was going to like literally lose my best friend. Like
Oh, but then you already lost him.
Ashlie, you're I'm not going to say you're the worst therapist. You're not a therapist. This is awful.
Sucks.
So this is a question I had to ask myself. So you guys have probably heard me talk about, there was an event that happened with a friend, and it was someone I thought was going to be in my life forever. I thought she was a soulmate, and
Emily Favre?
We're no longer friends. And I remember when I got so hurt.
Wait, did she and Emily Favre have a falling out? Like a falling out? Because I thought they just had dinner.
By her, just felt like very discarded. And I remember thinking like, well, then I'm just not going to love that hard anymore. I'm not going to bring people into the fold like that.
Okay, confirmation. Emily Favre and Ashlie Molstad are no longer friends. They don't follow each other on social media anymore. Wild.
I'm just not going to give them everything, right? That was my brain's knee-jerk reaction, and it was coming from a protective defense mechanism. And then I had to stop and ask, because if you protect yourself from pain, you also protect yourself from like love and deep connection, right? So in this instance, I was like, yeah, I could put some walls up and protect myself from ever feeling like this again. But that also means that I might miss out on the next best friend, the next soulmate, the next incredible relationship that's going to be in my life. And the thing is maybe these relationships aren't going to be forever. I thought this girl was going to be in my life forever. Maybe she was never supposed to be. Right. And the next person that comes in.
You recruited her. She's in your downline.
Like I had to learn so much, and I grew so much from that devastation it's actually probably one of the most transformative thing that's ever happened to me. And I had to decide in that moment, what kind of person do I want to be? Because I love loving hard. I love like going all in with people and just being like, you're in, you're my soul, like being loyal AF, right? Or I love that. And I was going to stop doing it to protect myself from possibly getting hurt again. But then I was like, I actually would rather get hurt again if that might happen again, right? Like someone might cheat on you again. Someone might break you again. And you'll get through it. You'll survive it. You'll come out stronger on the other side. Maybe it takes you 4 years, but you will eventually come out. And I just decided like, I'm willing to do that, to be the kind of to show up the kind of person that I want to be, right? Like I want to love hard. I don't want to love cautiously. I want to go for it. I want to believe in people. I want to see the best. That's the kind of person I want to be. I want to think the best of people, right? And for you, you want to think like I'm a catch. I'm enough for you to stick around. And if you are in a relationship where you commit to someone that doesn't see that you're a catch, then he's going to cheat on you because you're not going to leave. You said, I was in this relationship for years. He was never going to fulfill me. We were never emotionally connected. I would have never left, right? He had to cheat on you because you were never going to do that. He was never supposed to be your person, but you were staying with him. Like there is good things that came out of that suffering season. And right now you're protecting yourself from like, I don't want to go through that suffering again. But that suffering evolved you into who you are now. And also when you do that, you lose out on people like this who now you're like, I don't want to lose this person. But my brain is telling me that I have to protect myself from hurt. And yet now here I am, not only am I causing him hurt, but I'm hurt. Like I'm still hurt.
Yeah. And I just don't, I mean, I'm working on like that part to change, like, because I feel like I'm just like unlovable at times because I am so guarded, you know? I mean, he would say that to me. He's like, you're so guarded. I'm like, I mean, I just show love in a different way, you know? Like I do little things, you know, or like send you a positive message, you know, like I'm not like super affectionate.
Well, are you guarded?
Oh yeah, I'm guarded. Yes.
But so when he says you're so guarded and then you say, I just show love in a different way, it's like you're saying, no, I'm not. So then he's like, okay, well then something's wrong with me.
Sometimes I feel like because if a guy doesn't make me feel safe, I'm guarded.
How does a guy make you feel safe?
Well, that's true. I guess when I feel like they're not going to like cheat on me. So yeah, and that makes total sense.
Not control anybody else.
There's certain ways that you can behave that shows that you're a trustworthy person.
Am I willing to risk heartbreak for potential ultimate connection?
Yeah.
And are you?
I'm working on it. I mean, I want it. Like my daughter's 15 and she's getting older, you know, like I have 3 years and I really focus on her just because I only have her.
Yeah.
And I don't want to miss out.
Okay, but that's not what you led with. So that maybe spend more time thinking that, because what you led with was, I was cheated on 6 years ago. It was an emotional affair. So I don't let anyone get close to me. And now you're saying like, I don't let anyone really get close or take that place in my life because right now my daughter's my priority. That's not what's actually like, that sounds better, right?
Yeah.
But what's actually going on is you're guarding yourself. You're guarding yourself because you're afraid of getting hurt, like you were again, but your brain is saying, no, but it's actually because my daughter. And that's, I think it's like, I've been with talked to a lot of clients who do want to prioritize their kids. They are not interested in a relationship until their kids leave. Like I only have 3 more years with my daughter. So I'm sorry, I can't commit to you right now. But that is very different than the motivation of like, I can't commit to you right now because I'm not willing to let myself go there because I'm afraid that you might hurt me. I don't trust you.
I think it's a combination of both. And I think because my daughter is, you know, in high school now and she's not home as much this year because she's a sophomore, I'm feeling the loneliness. So now I'm like scared, like I'm going to be alone. You know what I'm saying? Not alone, but like
I understand what you're saying. Ashlie needs to say, you need to get a therapist. This would be better if you walk this through with a therapist.
Be lonely, should I say. Like, you know, because as you get older.
What's bad about being lonely?
True. I'm actually fine being alone. I know that sounds really weird sometimes.
So just when your brain off, like
Ashlie, I hate to cut in here, but can you please stop yelling at your customers who paid a premium to get your unqualified, unlicensed therapy advice? Thank you.
This is what is so wild about our brains. They think thoughts that we aren't giving consent to, and then we don't even believe them. Like your brain's like, I'm afraid of being alone. And then when I ask you what's so bad about being lonely, you're like, actually, I kind of like being alone.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, brain, you could just chill out. Now your brain's going to offer you that thought like, oh, I'm afraid of loneliness. But then you just remind yourself like, I'm never alone if I'm with me. And I like being with me.
I'm working on that. I mean, I've had a rough couple of years with stuff. So, and I'm working with your nutritionist. So I feel 3 weeks in and I feel like a whole different like person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like I do need to take that time for myself. And I think that's why part of it was I didn't want to get in a relationship with him because I just had been through so much in 2 years and had a hip replacement. And, you know, like sometimes you just have to take that time for yourself to feel good about it.
I know, but I think you need a journal on this because I think that because that's not what you led with.
Yeah.
I think you're actually, the thing that is driving your car is your fear of being hurt. And you've got all these other passengers that are very compelling, right? Like I have a busy life. I had a hip replacement. I had a lot going on. We had COVID. She had COVID. My daughter, you know, is it leaving in 3 years, right? These are all good reasons, but the one that's driving the car is your fear of getting hurt. So just move that to the back seat, put your daughter in the front, like your reason for not getting a relationship is your daughter, right? But maybe you'll realize like, actually, I can spend time with her and be in a relationship. I don't know. But right now, what you've got driving the car is an insecurity. And that's why it feels so crappy.
Yeah.
Like if it was truly your reason that I can't commit to because I want to commit to my daughter or because I had a hip replacement or whatever, and he says, well, that's not okay, then you would be like, okay, I'm really sad to lose you, but I'm going to have to lose you because this is right. You would feel good about it right now, and you would still miss him, right? Right now, you're having all kinds of like regrets and second thoughts and all of these things because what made the decision was an insecurity. That's never going to feel good.
I 100%.
But it's not what's been driving you.
I totally agree with that. Well, thank you. I feel better because my brain does feel like, just like you said, like it's just cluttered. Like I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? And I feel like I'm just like reaching, trying to like grab him back in, and I just have to let him go. You know?
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to, but before you open, you want to get very clear on like, do I want to be with him? Or is it now my fear of loneliness that's driving the car? Like, if it's really him, then you got to do the work to be like, okay, I'm willing to go all in with this guy. And maybe it's too late. Maybe he's in this other relationship. But if you're supposed to be with him, you will be with him. That's how it's going to work out for sure. Right now, you're not supposed to be with him, at least this week, today. You've got some work to do.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for volunteering. All right, guys. We're at an hour and a half, so I think I'll call it there.
You said last week we're gonna do a 2-hour call this week. I guess that's how hard you work for $70,000. You do 4 classes, you cut one early, you go early 1 week, and now we're here.
Leave it. I see a bunch of people had to jump off, but thank you for doing this journey with me. Thank you for trusting me and committing and showing up, responding, sending me the messages, telling me how this is impacting you. But even if you're not letting me know how it's impacting you, I hope that the fact that you're here on this call, either live or watching the replay, you're doing the work. And that means so much. Like, that is what I want. I just want women empowered and free and peaceful. And you just get to give that to yourself. I hope that we'll get to continue working together. In this next phase, it'll be a small, like kind of intimate group. So you'll still have a really good chance of getting coached by me. And then I'll launch it in the, new year sometime to everybody. But I'm grateful for you guys doing this with me and committing your time and your money and your energy and doing this messy work. But it's like the best kind of work to do. And so while we're ending this 30 days, I hope that you continue working on your brain, becoming a compassionate observer of it, and then living on purpose and with intention. It just feels so good. So you're still here in the UK, and it's like 2:30 in the morning now. So I love you. I mean it. Thank you guys so much. And we will be talking soon. Bye.
You ever like go on a car ride and then the AC isn't working that well, and so you get like sweaty and then you're really uncomfortable because you've been sitting for like 4 or 5 hours? Your brain is fried. That's how I feel right now. Ashlie, what are you doing? Number 1, why are you interrupting your clients? Number 2, why are you giving out therapy advice as an unlicensed therapist? Oh, you're a life coach, but you're acting like a therapist. I need Amy to look at these because Amy is a life coach and she stopped doing it because she was feeling like she was out of her depth. She's going back to school, and I'd love to hear her thoughts. Or if you know a therapist who would like these videos, I'm happy to send them to that person if they redact the faces. I'm not putting these in the free anti-MLM folder because I haven't redacted the faces of the clients, and we're not here to shade the clients or the customers or whatever for seeking out Ashlie Molstad. It is an unfortunate side effect of influence at scale that these people are coming to Ashlie for her life coaching, and then Ashlie gets into their history and she's also talking over them and sharing again and again and again the same story because she doesn't rewatch her Zoom calls. It comes across as very unprofessional, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you so much for watching. Premier Crew, greetings and greetings and salutations. I don't remember if I said that at the beginning, but I'm glad you're here. I'm sure we've been raging together. I always appreciate the replay crew's insights, and it's always fun to hang out. So if you've never hopped into a live chat, you've just been lurking, I'd recommend maybe popping in to say hello. We don't bite. Well, sometimes we do. I'm just kidding. We don't bite. I will hopefully see you on the next live stream or pre-recorded video. Subscribe, turn on notifications if that's something you want to do. And if you hate my guts, then obviously don't do any of those things. Toodles. Oh God, where's my outro?